Well, hello, my Thursday night truth tellers. I'm Elliot Bright, and this is the Gaily News, your daily dose of LGBTQ plus news from around the globe, served sassy, fierce, and completely unapologetic. It's August 6th, and the headlines are heavy. Here's the quick rundown. A teen mob is accused of beating a gay man to death in a park in what may be a hate crime. Jeopardy host Ken Jennings shut down attempts to paint him as anti-trans. Pete Buttigieg refused to take the bait and attack Kamala Harris. Representative Chris Pappas's strong LGBTQ plus record is getting fresh attention as he runs for Senate, and the Manhattan District Attorney announced a hate crime indictment in an anti-gay attack on a child. Let's get into the details. We start with a brutal and heartbreaking report. A group of teenagers is accused of beating a gay man to death in a park in a possible hate crime. According to coverage, the teens may have used a dating or social app to lure their victim to the location. The attack is being investigated with a bias motive in mind. This is the kind of violence that still stalks queer people in public spaces: planned, coordinated, and deadly. Details are still emerging, but the core facts are clear enough to demand attention. A gay man is dead, and the people accused of killing him allegedly set a trap. Every time this happens, the community is reminded that safety is still conditional for far too many of us. From violence to a very public stand, Jeopardy host Ken Jennings made it impossible to misunderstand where he stands on trans rights. After right-wing outlets tried to spin a comment he made online into evidence that he was anti-trans, Jennings hit back hard. He stated clearly that there is no issue he cares about more deeply on a personal level than trans rights. He called out bigots on one side and cowards on the other, and he emphasized that the institutions trying to erase trans people right now make him furious. Jennings also noted that Jeopardy itself is a space that is deliberately trans and non-binary friendly, and that is not changing. In a moment when celebrities often go quiet or triangulate, Jennings chose clarity and solidarity. Meanwhile, Pete Buttigieg refused to play a familiar political game. In a recent interview, a pundit pressed him hard to criticize or distance himself from Kamala Harris, referencing comments she made in her book about why she did not choose him as a running mate. The interviewer tried to frame it as Buttigieg being too polite or playing the good soldier after Harris had supposedly thrown an elbow. Buttigieg shut it down. He said the moment is about bigger things than whether somebody gets their feelings hurt by a page in a book. He kept the focus on the larger stakes, the trajectory of the country, and what actually matters. It was a clean refusal to feed the drama machine, and a reminder that some leaders still decline the invitation to tear each other down for sport. In New Hampshire, attention is turning to Representative Chris Pappas and his long record on LGBTQ plus issues as he campaigns for a U.S. Senate seat. Pappas has a consistent history of supporting queer equality, standing against discriminatory measures, and using his platform to push for inclusion. In a political environment where some candidates treat LGBTQ plus rights as optional or inconvenient, Pappas's record is being held up as a clear point of contrast. For voters who care about who will actually show up for the community in Washington, that history matters. It is not flashy. It is simply the work of someone who has treated equality as non-negotiable over time. Finally, from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, a man has been indicted on hate crime charges for an anti-gay attack on a child on the Lower East Side. District Attorney Alvin Bragg announced the indictment, stating that hate crimes undermine the values of dignity, safety, and inclusion. The alleged attack targeted a vulnerable child who was a stranger to the accused, and it involved hateful language. Bragg emphasized that every child deserves to feel safe in parks and shared spaces, and that the office will use every available tool to hold bias-motivated attackers accountable. Cases like this are a grim reminder that anti-gay violence still reaches the youngest targets, and that prosecutors are choosing to name the bias when the evidence supports it. That's the landscape on this Thursday. A deadly park attack possibly set up through an app, a game show host refusing to let his support for trans people be rewritten, a politician declining the invitation to tear down another Democrat, a congressman's consistent LGBTQ plus record getting a closer look, and a hate crime indictment for an attack on a child. The details matter, the names matter, and the refusal to look away matters. Thank you for spending this time with the Gaily News. I'm Elliot Bright. Come back tomorrow, same fire, fresh headlines, zero apologies. Stay fierce.